So today we're going to be taking a look at the 3 Lego Technic space sets that came out for March of this year over on the Brothers Bricks website, just because it's easy to get to. Surprisingly, I haven't found a ton of reviews for the actual sets themselves yet, especially over on YouTube. I think I've seen one fully reviewed so far. Other ones like speed builds and things like that. Still, at the end of the day, this is a lot of fun. That said, I will link these in the description so you can find them for yourselves, but we're not really taking a look at like the review per se, mostly just the images. Let's go ahead and see what's in store for us. So without further ado, let's hop on over, and big thanks to the Brothers Bricks, just looking at their website. Lastly, if you enjoy this type of content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe because it does help out the channel. And if there are any issues with the quality of the video, I apologize. OBS, I've tried searching in terms of the blurriness, the slight blurriness in the background here. No one really seems to have an answer for me. That's typical for OBS, it seems like. You run into an issue. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so first things first, we have the smallest of the 3 sets. We're going to skip over the Ori because it's a Technic set, but it's more of like a statement piece. It's something that kind of sits on like a table and you display it and use it for whatever purposes. These are vehicles is what we're focusing on. So right off the bat here, there are 3 vehicles in total for this wave, plus there is the polybag little NASA rover, Perseverance rover, which we've taken a look at in a previous video because I have it sitting next to me here. And yeah, really happy about them in general. This is a lot of fun, and I'm really hyped to see this kind of stuff too because at least from what I can tell, this is all like just completely abstract vehicles, and I love that kind of stuff, right? These are obviously not vehicles that currently exist. Maybe they're inspired by vehicles that exist or concept vehicles. I don't know, but I really like that. I like when Lego goes out of their way with Technic to make things that are sort of experimental, right? And just like this, space is always fun. It's always exciting to return to. Obviously, like probably most kids in the world, I grew up wanting to be an astronomer till I realized I don't want to be that. And so, yeah, it's just really nice to see this kind of stuff. And it's in some ways kind of a dream come true. With that said, this is actually a pretty approachable set right here. Over 400 parts, 400, and it said at the very beginning, 35 pieces, which is not bad for $35 in the US here. Probably can get it even cheaper than that. And there are a decent amount of parts here that are reasonably rare or even exclusive. Some exclusive pieces, for example, being these light bluish gray version of the small Kloss style wheel, which is just a phenomenal piece in general. It does come in other sets in black, but I believe it is exclusive here in the light bluish gray color. So that's always fun to see. And in fact, all of the wheels that you'll see in these sets are in that light bluish gray color as well. So all exclusive as far as I'm aware. There are also some really rare recolors in here, at least rare for now because the color is new. The reddish orange color appears in all 3 of these sets. In this set here, it is only going to be panels, so you're not going to get any lift arms in that reddish orange color. However, in the next 2 sets you will, and that's always fun to see. Still, a good selection of panels in the set at the very least, and we're just kind of looking at the mechanisms and stuff here in general. So if you haven't seen the video or seen what the function on this one is, I would highly implore you to go ahead and check out Bricks, who is a lovely creator over here on YouTube. They actually posted a video on this vehicle specifically showcasing its functions. It is called a lift vehicle, and unfortunately, the lift on it leaves a lot to be desired. However, it does have rear wheel steering, though it's pretty close to a direct drive, or about as close as you can get. And then the front cabin can actually raise, so there's a sort of transformation feature. And that's probably its main selling point. The transformation is actually pretty cool, but it's relatively simple to understand. If you've ever played with the Borak sets, you know how the head moves parallel to the body. That's basically what's going on here as well. So yeah, here's a good example of it right here. And there are some GIFs provided in these as well. They do some great videography and photography on this site in general. So really nice to see. And yet it's just that the front half will stay parallel to the body. The back half obviously stays parallel as well. Maybe there's a little bit of movement in there. I don't know. But it looked like the linkages were the same length and the same distance apart, parallel. So it should remain parallel. That said, this is the lift area back here. And yeah, it's not great, to be honest. So I classify functions in really two ways, and I have subclassifications for that as well. But what I typically consider a function is something that is driven from like a gear or driven remotely, externally. Springed suspension, as simple as it is still a function in my eyes because it is essentially a linear actuator with a spring involved, right? The bionicle gear function on the back of the original Toyota, that's a geared function. Whereas what I consider a feature is something that you more or less have to manually move. And in this case here, that's kind of what you get with this lift here. You do have the sort of function in that you lift this little red knob on the body here, and maybe they'll showcase it, I'm not sure, but it's just not a lot of movement. It goes over the tire, and then you just move this little arm up and down, but you have to then manually insert the cargo. You have to manually close up the little arm on it. It's silly little stuff. It's nice that it's there for sure. Like, I'd rather have features than nothing at all, but it's features nonetheless, right? So still really interesting little vehicle. Turning radius on it, not great, but I think for a space vehicle, that's fine. And Lego's not always the best with turning radiuses anyway, so like I'm not going to complain about it too bad. That said, it would have been nice to see like an Ackerman-style steering in something like this. I think there's probably enough room in here to have rebuilt the back slightly to accommodate for that, because it is fairly simple driving, steering in general. That said, the cockpit being able to lift up, it looks really cool. Like, I love the aesthetic of this, and I really like how they handled the color, kind of a stripe going from the wheels across the body in sort of a compound shape. It's really cool. The reddish orange color looks lovely. I don't have it in hand yet, but I do plan on getting at least one of these sets. And then it has these little arms for grabbing. They're just way too small, in my opinion, but it's nice to have them. And of course, when it's down on the ground, when the vehicle is at its lowest point, the arms are going to work just fine. But it would have been nice to see another link somewhere in these arms to better utilize it. Still, really good set in general. I think you get great pieces here as well. There's a lot of new pieces, especially not just the recolors, but some newer Technic pieces involved. And for $35, that's not bad by any means. I think I even see a half bushing in here in white, which are reasonably uncommon, although they've been getting more common, thankfully, in the recent years. So, and this shows you, yeah, how that function works. It's neat to see it, and I am glad that it has it. It's just not the most exciting thing in the world. But let's go ahead and, yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and move on from this one to the next one, the second largest of these sets. This is the VTOL Heavy Cargo Spaceship LT81. Long name. I don't even think I read out the name of the last one. This is a pretty good deal, at least in my opinion. $109 is obviously a little bit inflated, which is fine, but for 1,365 pieces, it's actually not that bad, all things considered. And you would look to pay nearly $20 or $30 more in several situations in the past. So this is pretty good overall. Obviously another space set, but again, it's I want to say abstract because it is, but it very clearly takes some inspiration from the Boeing, what was it called? The Osprey that was supposed to come out a handful of years ago, and then Lego canceled it for war reasons. I get it, which, I don't know, makes the Fortnite thing feel a little weird since that's a game mostly about gunning. But anyway, I'm going to make a lot of enemies saying that. I know it's a building game too, not the point. With that said, though, this one actually has a lot of functions, and I'm really happy with all of them. You're going to go ahead and see them here. You pretty much start out the build with a function, which is always cool. You know, you start out getting a handful of these gears here. The idling blue gears will turn separately from these black gears, meaning that you probably activate these two by thumb. I'm just going to assume that, but we're going to go ahead and check out further along because, yeah, even uses these relatively new A-frame pieces as well, which I'm not like the biggest fan of frame pieces, but when they're used right, I'm okay with them, and they add a lot of texture to builds in general. It's nice to see them here in black. I'm sure it came out in other sets in that color as well, and so yeah, pretty good use for these pieces, pretty good package to get them if you don't have them yet. And now you can start to see how things are going to work. And that's actually pretty complex movement there. So it's really nice to see it. It's very good to see this kind of stuff too, because it helps you sort of understand, okay, what exactly is going on and why. You can see that the leg kind of tilts forward a little bit because of the way the linkages are, you know, so it teaches you a little bit about the geometry of this stuff. And I love that. On top of that, you have these turbine builds. Nothing fancy about them, but it's really cool shaping here at the very least. So I am going to be like, yeah, cool. I like that. All right. Moving on. Now, one thing I did want to mention too, a ton of stickers in this line, but I will say, for what it's worth, most, if not all these stickers, I think can be left off. You might put stickers on like a seat in the interior, or on like dashboards, or whatever the case, if you want to, or, with warning signs, whatever. But for the most part, I think you can get away with not using most of these stickers. And on top of that, this set also actually contains some lift arms in the reddish orange color. I believe 2 lift arm sizes, 11 length and a 5 length. The next set we're going to look at contains the same lift arms plus a 9 length lift arm as well. So really good to see this brand new color already getting some Technic support. Lots of panels as well, though in this case here, I think it's just 3 different types of panels in the reddish orange. That's still pretty generous overall. And of course, the last set had 2 different types of panels in the reddish orange as well. So you can see a very similar build here with the turbines, but obviously the encasement around them is different. Really nice to see that as well. And again, it looks lovely, to be honest. Like, it's a good look. I will say it's kind of open on the bottom here, but I'm not going to be upset about it, Maybe you could use a larger wheel to kind of fill it out more, but then you lose, being able to look up in there and see all the intricate little builds and stuff. So I get it. I ain't gonna complain too much about it. This is there's eyes. Oh, this is cute. Hold on. Oh, I love this. Oh, this is great. All right, I'm sorry. So this mechanism here is actually a lot more straightforward than it might seem, because obviously one part is stationary, one part moves. It's just a scissor mechanism, but it works really well, right? Essentially it's just teeth. Like, I like that om nom. But yeah, this way it can lift up 1 or even more items here. I think in this set, it's just for 1 item. It's just got 2 different latch points. But in other sets, you might be able, or if you wanted to build something for yourself, you could build something that has multiple different connections, so you can lift multiple items at the same time. So it's nice that they give you 2, because they don't have to. They could have just made one of these mechanisms. They would have been fine. That said, you also get the sort of gimbal mechanism on the front here. Very simple in how that works. I think it's just gravity, but that's cool. It's nice to have it. And again, kind of leaves the front end really open here. If you want to look at a set that has really good panel shaping that came out in like the last, 5 or 10 years or so, the heavy lift helicopter, the big white and orange, coincidentally similar colors, that set is probably one of my absolute favorite Technic sets of all time, just in terms of not only the design of it, the shaping overall, because that was one of the first sets to really heavily use panels, but it did so with good intentions, I think, and it came out really well. So this one here, you get this little mini lawnmower, it looks like. Mini Rover here. Just very simple direct drive kind of steering, at least from what I can tell. The gear is connected directly to the front half here, it looks like. This is actually really similar steering that I used in a little polybag revamp that I did. They had a polybag Volvo front end loader, I think it was, and I modified it to give it like an engine and give it a steering, and it was very similar steering to this. I don't know if I still have that built at all, but it was a really nice build, and it was the same size as the original too, which was pretty cool. When I say motor, I just mean aesthetically. It didn't function. All right, so yeah, we get the VTOL full aesthetic here. Obviously, a very open back end on it, which might deter some people, but that's very clearly because that's essentially the handle as well. And I believe that means that all of the functions are activated through this as well. I could be wrong on that. But yeah, the blue gears, the black gears, as I mentioned, using your thumb to kind of slide them like we saw in previous iterations. I think those are the blue gears moving right there, in fact. And the VTOL engines, whatever these are, turbines, thrusters, whatever, rotate a full 360, so unlimited spin. That's pretty cool. All right, moving on, you get the full landing. Oh, okay, that's on the back. I didn't notice. That's cool. I thought that was going to be, like, usually a lot of vehicles have like the 2 legs in the back, the 1 leg in the front. So nice to see a difference here. And that's what I like about it too, because again, like I said, it's a very abstract build. So it's very different from anything that you might see coming out of like NASA or coming out of, but it looks like a spaceship. It looks real, I really, really like the aesthetic of these sets overall here. Oh, okay, it's the antenna sticking up from the little vehicle. All right, so we are through with that one. Again, if you want to check out these pictures, videos, etc., closer up, I will leave the links for these in the description. We're going to check out the last one. I'm going to try to speed through this one a bit more, though it is the largest of the three sets. Near 1,600 pieces, $150, which is more than I had originally seen it for, because I had seen it listed at $135 originally. So maybe the price went up, or I just saw it on sale somewhere. I'm not sure. Still, that's more normal pricing, I would say. Granted, I think for the size of the vehicle, it is a big vehicle. Don't get me wrong, but it still feels like a bit much. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm being a little greedy here. But yeah, 6 of the large balloon tires in the light bluish gray color. Actually, are those the large ones? I know they go on the large rim. That looks like the large rim size, but I think there's one size diameter that's larger than that. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Pretty cool to see the brake pieces, the disc brakes used on the outside of the wheels. All right, we're gonna just keep on hammering on here. Okay, pretty simple. Suspension. Suspension. Okay. I've actually used a mechanism like this before. I'm trying to think of what I used it for, though. It wasn't suspension. It was a mechanism for some kind of rahi or something I was working on. I don't even know if I ever finished it either. Yeah, anyway, so very similar mechanism to the sort of transformation function from the first set that we took a look at. And again, a very simple principle to recognize. If you ever want two things to move parallel to each other, all you need to do is just make sure that the beams that connect them are the same length as each other and the same distance apart at their connection points, right? Again, looking at the Borak as a perfect example of this, but it doesn't matter what the shape of those linkages are. Like, you could have something that's curved like a big old bendy straw. As long as they're the same each time, the distance between the 2 points is the same, the mechanism doesn't know the length or the shape of those pieces. It can, yeah, that's how physics works. Anyway, so really cool stuff. That's geometry for you. I don't know why I said physics. Geometry. But yeah, so really, really cool. Neat, very simple function, but useful function as well. I don't know what that's going to be yet, so I guess we'll find out. Steering mechanism in the front here. Is this going to have suspension too? Hold on. Something, my brain ain't braining. Hold on. Oh, okay. Okay, so it's a pendular kind of suspension. All right, so no springs in the set, which is interesting. As I mentioned, springs being kind of more of a function. Here, I would still say that this is pretty close to a function. There's a pretty good mechanism involved in this in general. Pendular suspension is very useful, but generally I prefer springs where available. And also you get the portal axles. These are, I think. I don't know if those work. I guess they would. There's room for gears in there. Anyway. Oh, that's interesting. I'd seen a video of somebody, I think, went over it when they were first being revealed back in like January or whatever. But I don't know if I actually saw this. So, yeah, really cool. Lots and lots of white linkages too. So if you're somebody who's a fan of like using white parts, this is a really good parts pack for that kind of stuff. And I think the whole series is in general. So yeah, really nice to see a lot of this. And that's pretty good compound shaping on that cockpit too, so I like it. Little food packs, that's cute. Let's see here. Oh, it's got like even like a little live-in area. That's interesting. So I'm wondering what scale these are supposed to be then, because were the front seats not like full? Yeah, those are full Technic panels in the front seats, but then these interior seats are teeny tiny. It's nice to have the suggestion at the very least, but I have no idea what scale these are supposed to be then, because I don't even think like minifigures would fit in here. I think this is too short for them. Still interesting at the very least. And oh, like a little front door. That's cool. I like that. I've seen these pieces too. I think those are in the Uri. I think those are used as the Earth. They're also reminiscent of a piece from Bionicle 2. And I can't remember the name of them right now, but it's a little bowl-shaped piece, came out like in 2007 or something. Anyway, continuing on. I'm guessing that's a mechanism here, but I'm not sure what. Lots of peripherals. So many. Oh, that's cute. Little and yeah, you can see the 5-length lift arm on this use here, which is always nice. Again, love the fact that they're giving us a new color like this and giving us some pretty heavy support for it too. I'll have to look up later what parts are available in this color so far, because I definitely want to get my hands on it at the very least. I, as a Bionicle builder, am also just a big fan of colors and love to get my hands on more and more colors so I can build Rahi in newer and in more exciting colors, I guess. You know, it just gives more representation, because that's the thing with 2001 too, you know, like Rahi came in so many different colors outside of what the Toa came from. Then every year after that, it's like everything came in Toa colors, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. But it was just so nice to see like Rahi in purple and dark turquoise, and that was so much fun. Yellow, etc. All right. Yeah, so that's the mod. Okay, so this is it without it being extended. Lengthened. I don't know why I was all right. And then this is the extension. So it looks good overall. There's no real sag in it that I can see, which is nice because that's, always something to worry about. I know that there was a set a handful of years ago, big old tow truck that like sagged in the middle because of how it was built. It was really weird. Oh, those are white. Okay, I thought that was just a big hole for a second. No, the white panels. Got it. Yeah, so it's an interesting set. I really like it. I don't know what's going on back here though. It's one of the assemblies, right? Yeah, okay. Oh, is it the little power bay thing? Okay, got it. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Yeah, so like I said, I know we didn't read over a lot of the text involved with any of these. Again, huge shout out to the Brothers Bricks and their little blog over here because, yeah, that's just very convenient. And like I said, I saw Jang Bricks reviewed specifically the smallest one of these sets. I was going to say I imagine he'd get the other two if he's a space fan. I don't know if he is. But, I know Technic's not normally the thing that he does on his channel, so I don't know. Still, this is a really exciting set for what it's worth. I think this is a better parts pack than a set in general. I think the functions here are neat, but it's also kind of one of those examples of, okay, but what's the point? It's cool to have that transformation. And yeah, in reality, that transformation would make some sense, especially on like a interplanetary setting, to be able to like raise your perspective and stuff. Like, yeah, I get that. Really would have liked that lift build to be better. I think that's the thing that really sets me off here. I think if this would have been a $40 set with like 600 or so pieces, dedicate those extra, I guess this was 400 something pieces, so I guess 550 or so pieces, whatever, and dedicate those extra pieces to just a better lift overall, something that can fold up, but also that can unfold and, go out and actually grab things. That's what we're really missing here, because this is a lift that only comes off of one side. It's parallel movement, very similar to how the transformation function works here, but it also means that it's restricted. It's very limited in where it can go, what it can do, and then the lift itself, yeah, it can go up and down, but the wheels are right here, so you start getting into collision problems, and you have all this open space in the center too, so it makes me think that like maybe you build an assembly on the front here, like attach it to these pinholes here, and then have it overhang this center point so that it's not in the way of the mechanism, but it kind of fills up that empty space, and it's in a more, I would say, prime spot for actually picking up cars. Like now I want to get it almost just to modify it. That's something I did with, well, I didn't buy the set. A handful of years ago, Lego came out with a, it was like a logging vehicle. It was a really cool vehicle for what it's worth. But it had like a little trailer that like ran behind it that you could attach the battery box to so you could motorize it and stuff. It was a really neat idea. And I modified that to just make the arm on it look sleek because the body looked really good. And then the arm looked just awful. It was very Technic and very open and didn't look as polished as the rest of the body. And I ended up like modifying it to give it like more functions, more movement in general. I should have pictures of it somewhere, honestly. I don't know where though. And on the actual battery box that's being towed behind it, on the top of it, I put this little like extra carrying spot, extra cargo bay, just so that you have, because why not use it, and yeah, it was a lot of fun to mess around with. So anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. I know it's a bit of a long one, probably not something that would interest most of my viewers, but at the same time, really cool colors here. I can't wait to get my hands on the dark or reddish orange color. It looks so good. I'm so happy about it. I haven't seen it yet in hand, so maybe I won't like it as much if I have it in hand. But yeah, we'll see. In terms of actually getting one of these sets, I don't know. I'd prefer the VTOL set, but the problem is that is way more expensive than really what I can reasonably afford right now. So, like, I have savings. I can do it if I need to, but I really don't think I need to. Still, at some point in the future, may I get that set? Probably. I really like it. I don't care as much about this one, but there are some interesting pieces here. There's some interesting concepts here, and I think this is a really solid platform to modify. That's where I'm kind of drawing the line here. Is like this one I think provides the most fodder for the channel and generally for the collection in general. Just not having any dark orange panel or lift arms bothers me. Makes me sad because I want to use them. All right, so that's it. I'll see you all in the next one. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe because it tells YouTube that you want to see more content, maybe like this. I don't know. This is a long one. And of course, as always, you can join the conversation down in the comments below or check out the Discord, Instagram, or Patreon if you want to support the channel, get perks. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.